The Overstood Human Podcast. Unfiltered dialogue, real solutions, no labels. The Overstood Human Podcast exists to inspire people to live with strength, freedom, and a purpose in a world full of noise and division. We champion a life anchored in true health, strong family, personal sovereignty, and self-discovery, inspiring our listeners to thrive beyond the confines of the design system. Our mission is to inspire you to break free from mediocrity, think independently, and live a life of meaning, resilience, and impact. Hello, everybody. I am Frank Tortorici.
And my name is Sarah Green, and this is the Overstood Human Podcast.
We welcome you, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. You got your big race coming up, right?
I do. Yep, just a handful of days and running Highway 1 from Big Sur to Carmel. So
Nice.
I wish they had it the other way because it'd be a little bit more of like a downhill, but it's all uphill.
All right.
So
All right.
26.2
Feeling
miles.
pretty good about it. The lungs are holding up.
You know what? Cardiovascular wise, I'm good. Like I could go forever. It's will my legs and my knees hold out. So I will be taping and using some different like patching stuff to help with pain. And then I get ibuprofen. I take it once a year ish, but I have it compounded. So I don't have all the polysorbate 80 and chemicals in there that I don't want. So clean ibuprofen.
Nice.
At the start, and I'm sure I will repeat that at the end. So,
do I see an ice bath in the future at the end anywhere? Or what?
Definitely a hot tub.
All right.
An ice bath. I probably should. I know I thought about a massage beforehand, but I don't know if I want to break up any. I don't want any extra lactic acid floating around my body. So, and I am not your typical person that trains. Like I don't read books and I just wing it. So I'm winging it.
Right.
It'll work.
It'll work. I like it.
Yep.
I like it. That kind of like segues us into this topic of how to raise a man, right? It's that kind of mentality, right? Of you got to wing things sometimes as a man. Not everything fits in this perfect box.
Right.
Yeah. So for everybody listening, today's episode is going to be on how to raise men. But also it's going to be intertwined with vaccines because, well, we'll get into that. So it's how to raise a man / vaccine / soy boys, right? It's kind of
how not to raise a soy boy.
It's kind of what we're trying to accomplish here today. So where do we start? So I think it's smart to let's dive into the vaccine industry first and foremost, because as we know, I mean, I know you see it in your line of work of how it affects people on such a deep-rooted level. And I'll let Sarah take that, but I'll just say from my perspective, for those of you that don't know, I had a really horrific vaccine injury when I was 8 years old, received 3 shots in one day in the office, went into seizures at the doctor's office. Those seizures lasted for a few days, fever. Eventually that subsided. And then a couple of weeks later, I was a baseball player. I was on the mound pitching and I started developing uncontrollable like shoulder tics and I couldn't control it. Lo and behold, it led to like other types of tics. And, you know, at that time, my parents took me to various different medical doctors and they all concluded that I had Tourette syndrome. And just so people know, if you read the text on Tourette syndrome, they usually say it's hereditary. There's a gene passed down. There's no Tourette's in my bloodline, in my family, nothing. And ironically, here's another interesting thing. I know within probably, let's say a 3-mile radius from where I grew up, I know roughly about 7 males, 4 of them with full-blown Tourette's, including myself, and then 3 others with just like a lot of tics. They were never diagnosed, but pretty, I think if they went to a doctor, they'd have some sort of a soft diagnosis of that. So you guys tell me, coincidence? I think not. Now, I grew up in Long Island, and I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Plum Island out by Montauk Point. um, you can't even get close. Like Plum Island is known for testing infectious disease. There's a big theory of that's where Lyme disease really came out of, where they do a lot of testing with insects. You go
Mhm.
up, it's protected by the Coast Guard. Like you can't get anywhere near it. It's like totally like an Epstein Island, if you will, in that
Sure.
sense. So there's a lot of, when I date back to my childhood and when I think about all that, it it's infuriating. I just, obviously the damage was done, but at that time, this was in 1986. I'm 8 years old, and my parents didn't know. No one really knew at that time. And how ironic, the year that I get injured is the year that Ronald Reagan signs the National Vaccine Compensate. Was it I forgot the acronym for that, but basically granting all the manufacturers of these vaccines full immunity because there were
Mhm.
damages being reported and they were having to pay out. And they basically told the Reagan administration at the time that if you don't do something for us, we're going to end up going bankrupt, paying out all of these fines. So, and we can touch on that too. There's I believe with every vaccine that's administered till this day, there's a certain, I don't know if the proper word is a tax, but something goes into like the compensation fund because you still can't sue them. By the way, that's a law that's still in effect, but there is a
Mhm.
percentage. I believe maybe you could speak to that, Sarah. I'm not, how to explain that portion.
That vaccine injured people get money? Is that
There's
what you're talking
compensation,
about?
yes. Like if
A
you
very
report it to,
minimal amount.
yeah, 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 yeah. But there's some kind of a tax when they're administered. There's a percentage of it that goes to like the compensation program if there's something reported, and God only knows what kind of loopholes you have to go through to prove that it was from that.
Sure.
But that's
Sure.
that's the smoke and mirrors that they passed, and this is still in existence since 1986. So I'm waiting
Mhm.
patiently to all the MAGA supporters and the Maha supporters out there. I'm waiting patiently for that one to get touched on, but I've heard crickets
Yeah,
on
well,
that.
we just found
So,
out who is the director of the CDC who's pro-vaccine, so go figure.
hmm,
There's gonna be
yep,
more vaccines being pushed than not,
yep,
and,
yep,
we just did a complete 180 from what we were expecting Kennedy to do. Just it's all control. I mean,
yeah. It's all.
and the 1986 thing, like I guarantee you that APAC and a bunch of people threatened to that needed to be signed or else, and so there's a
Yeah,
lot of money being exchanged, and it's horrific, but
it is. It
that's
is, and
another
it's
topic.
it's
But
just crazy that it's still. I mean, that's what blows my mind. I say that to people. Like, think of it like you're a business owner and you're making a product that has zero liability. I mean, that the insanity of that, and let alone it's a product that people are injecting into their body, that there are known side effects. Like even, they're in the inserts, like they list them through whatever trials they do. So it's
well,
like,
they don't even do normal trials. There's
right.
no placebo-controlled trial on any vaccine. So not only is there no liability, but these vaccines have never been proven to be safe or effective.
Hmm.
So it's just, but if you start understanding the structure of everything, it actually makes perfect sense.
Mm,
They're not out there to make you better. Vaccines are not were not invented to prevent you from getting disease. They're injecting you with something that's going to create a disease so that you become forever a patient of big pharma. So you're going to need prescription meds for your allergies or your autoimmune disease or your cancer or whatever they give you through the vaccines. You're just your money in their pocket. So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's crazy. So yeah.
yeah.
So keep going with your story. So yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's why, I can speak to this insanity of the vaccine industry. Obviously, Sarah, you're a medical professional. You could speak of it from a different perspective, of credibility that people I know want to hear. But again, from
Mhm.
my perspective, that was my story with vaccines, and unfortunately, it haunts me till this very day. Decades and decades later. So that's
Mhm.
you know that's obviously why I do what I do too. It's just when I see people, uh, especially what we went through during the whole COVID crisis,
Yes.
just seeing people what they did and how quick they were to give up their personal liberties and allow the entry of this foreign technology, this mRNA technology, and I mean, just yeah, it's something that at the start of COVID that I didn't want to be right about. you know, I,
Yeah.
like I knew the writing on the wall, and sure enough, I mean, it's unfolding before our very eyes, but yet still, so many people are mystified as to what's going on. Like, oh my God, why are cancer rates and this and that, and it's just it leaves me speechless at times when I think about that. Um,
Got their
but needless
blinders
to say,
on.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. What's your vantage point through your practice, I guess, of well, you already made a statement that they're not designed to make you healthy. So can you, dive into that a little bit more as to why you say that?
Absolutely. I mean, if you were to actually ask a pediatrician, read me the ingredients in this vaccine that you want to inject my 2-month-old baby with, they won't be able to. They won't be able to
Mm,
give you that, because if the pediatrician were to say, well, we've got formaldehyde, we've got mercury, we've got aborted fetal cells, we've got, you know, antifreeze, we've got all these toxic things, polysorbate 80. So of course we're going to
mhm,
we're going to push it across the blood-brain barrier. If they actually listed the ingredients inside these vaccines, a parent would never agree.
yeah.
So they don't. They're taught it's safe and effective. And I remember when I was in PA school, which has been 18 years. When we learned about vaccines, it was very minimal. It was in our pediatrics class, and
Mhm,
it was just they're safe and effective. And actually, not only are they safe and effective, but beware of the parents who
mm,
come in and don't want to vaccinate their child, like you almost as if like you'd want to fire them from your practice. So be weary of the ones that choose not to vaccinate, and then you've got to be careful if the baby gets sick. It could be, something that you would have normally vaccinated against. Well, we know that the vaccines aren't effective. None of them are, right? So
right,
you could still have like a child that's vaccinated against something and still contract it. And so it really doesn't shut down the opportunity for that particular infection to not be something that they've been vaccinated against, like measles, for instance.
right.
So yeah, I mean, it was like in school, that was what you were taught. And I guarantee if any parent, like we research everything, right? As a new mom, you're buying the best quality car seat. You have done hours and hours and hours of testing to make sure that you have the safest, most reliable car seat. Hours and hours and hours of testing to make sure that your crib is safe, that your mattress is safe. It used to be bumpers, now it's no bumpers. On the back to sleep, on the belly to sleep, like whatever it was, all these different things. And you're like, you got it down. Like you read all the baby books, you've done all these things to keep your child safe. You go deliver in a hospital, the first thing they do is clamp the umbilical cord, which actually gives the baby more nutrition and vitamin K. So then they tell you they need to inject with some synthetic vitamin K. They glob the baby with antibiotics in their eyes, even though all parents or mothers are tested against any STDs prior to giving birth. So the likelihood of mom, unless she's, sleeping around, whatever, it's as a prevention. So this baby who's going through the birth canal now is injected with the most precious moment is getting clamped. They're getting injected with all kinds of chemicals, mercury, and then they're globbing their eyes with antibiotics. It's like welcome to the world. And it's like the first stamp of big pharma. And then a couple hours later, you're going to get your hepatitis B vaccine with this baby that just, it's like, oh my gosh, like who actually thinks this is normal? God did not create us to require a vitamin K vaccine at birth. That was not
Right.
what happened. And so, if you actually allow a woman to give birth and allow that umbilical cord to turn white, so allow it to pump for as long,
Mhm,
it's not going to hurt baby, it's going to help baby. And then you
right,
really don't need to do all those
right.
things. Stop giving this vitamin K because it's not necessary, and stop putting antibiotics in their eyes. Like stop the hepatitis B vaccine. The baby's a couple hours old. Hepatitis B is a sexually transmitted disease, and someone that's using IV drugs. Like that's it. So there's not any risk. If you want to vaccinate, whatever, don't take it when the baby is just a couple hours old. Like, I am an anti-vaxxer. I'll proudly say I'm an anti-vaxxer. I used to be kind of careful with my words, like, oh, no, I'm an anti-vaxxer. Until you can show me that there's clinical trials against a placebo control, like a placebo controlled trial, and I'm looking at a true saline shot versus this vaccine, and I can follow these people, I will never recommend a vaccine. But you're setting this kid up for allergies, autoimmune, and it's not tested. Like, they're carcinogenic. Vaccines are carcinogenic. That means that increases your risk for cancer. So we could go on and on about the vaccines, but yeah, it's
I
a
want to
setup
pause you
for
right there
failure.
though, because and I want to pause you through that timeline in the hospital. One thing that I want to insert in there and just have you kind of give your vantage point on that is, what about the insanity of when they take the baby, they cut the cord, and then they sterilize the baby, taking all of the bacteria from mom off of the baby? I mean, like when my son
Yeah.
was born, we left it on for a good week. We didn't bathe him, like
Yeah.
anything. I mean, what
Yeah.
can you speak to that?
Yeah, the vernix. So they immediately go bathe the baby. All these things are there to protect the baby outside of the womb. So you
Hmm.
should, if you had it your way in hospitals, I mean, there are Western medicine is good for certain things, right? We need it. We
Right,
need to we
right.
need to align it with the holistic and have it kind of go hand in hand. So, traumatic delivery and baby needs resuscitation, like, you want to be in a position where you've got that on hand. I totally understand that. But be in a place, if you're going to deliver in a hospital, where your birth plan is known. You can have papers that are brought in with you where you do not consent. Be careful what you sign when you're in the hospital.
Hmm.
But really, nothing should be happening. Baby comes out, keep the umbilical cord pumping, put baby on mom's chest, skin to skin, and start nursing. And that really is what should happen. That immediately outside of
Wow.
the womb. Don't do anything else. Let babies learning smells, learning taste, learning touch, learning all these things, and getting all this wiring going on in the brain, and we're impeding on that immediately. It's it's just
Yeah.
it's crazy. Back in the day, that kind of stuff was not happening, and we just have. And we also we've probably never been as sick of a society as we are today. So
Yeah.
it's not. It starts at birth.
Right. And then another thing too, I want to ask you, like when if you go back to like you in medical school, is it almost, I mean, I always get like the impression it's almost like being at like a David Koresh like type thing, like just kind of like a cult, like everyone's afraid to like ask something outside of like what they're being told, because I can't imagine, I mean, medical professionals are extremely smart IQ people. And when they talk about, and this just popped in my head when you were talking before, um, we research this, we research the car seats, we research that. In medical school, you're told to tell patients to introduce one food at a time. Is that correct for any kind of like allergic reaction? Like,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
so
Mhm.
does anyone ever ask when they're sitting in the classroom, like, so one food at a time, but mercury, aluminum, formaldehyde, canine kidney cells, aborted fetal tissue, does that come up that we're introducing all this at once? And to your point, it could break the blood-brain barrier. And like, is that even brought up? Like, you ever heard of that?
No, because the ingredients of the vaccines are never discussed.
Mm,
And you've got these vaccines that are multiple vaccines in one. So you go in and you do 3 shots, but really it's like 8 or 9 vaccines in one. I mean, I'm the kind of person that if someone wants me to understand what's happening, and they truly believe in whatever it is that they're trying to convince me of, it has to make sense. So I
hmm.
need it to make sense for me to be able to comprehend it and go, okay, that makes sense. This does not make
Right.
sense. And you have to start questioning. But for me in my education, I mean, this is not only, there's no outside the box, but you also are taught in a way to be able to pass the boards. And so who writes your textbooks? Well, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, McGraw-Hill, writes your textbooks. Who is he? I mean, look at who he's funded by, and you just start going down that whole trail. And so
Hmm.
you can, and then maybe there's some that come out with they're able to keep their prior beliefs intact, and they kind of go through the motion of medical school because they have to, and they have to like pass the boards. But I guarantee that the vast majority of those people that go through medical school come out with they're just regurgitating. It's like the news, right? You turn on the news, and it doesn't matter what channel you turn on, everybody's repeating the same exact lines. They're all just regurgitating all the stuff, and really it's not like there's nothing about nutrition, nothing about vitamins, nothing about how to test for anything that's actually really important to blood. It's very basic blood tests, and it's just enough to make sure that you can diagnose X, Y, and Z and push drugs. Like when you get out of medical school, PA school, whatever, you become a certified drug dealer. That's actually what you are. And so you're going to be a legal prescription writing drug dealer for whatever drug it is that you need to, treat this disease. And you're not curing anybody. You're putting a Band-Aid, whether you're actually lowering the risk of whatever disease you're trying to prevent them from succumbing to. It's just a Band-Aid. So no, I mean, there is, and there's no, you don't ask questions, and I mean, you can, but you're going to be shut down pretty quickly. And, the gaslighting is going to take place. I was always in trouble in PA school because I was the one that was always asking questions. I can't tell you how many times I got called into the headmaster's office and, Sarah, you're just being too loud, and you need to just chill out. So my personality is such that I was often in trouble. I shouldn't say in trouble, but I challenged. And it's not because I'm trying to buck what they're saying. I need it to make sense. The way that my brain processes, I ask a lot of questions. I do. You can ask my best friend, like she'll tell me a story and I'm like, hold on, let me get the details. So, okay. And she's like, oh my gosh, of course you would ask those questions. I don't know, because I have to replay it in my head because I paint a picture of what's actually going on. So I ask questions because it helps me understand, and nothing can be answered in a way that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. And so I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to believe it. I'm going to question, and I'm going to research, and they don't want you doing that. So, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
So it's
and
safe
COVID
to say
was
anybody
my
from
awakening.
the administration. COVID, right?
Yeah.
You had mentioned that. I was going to say it's safe to say that anyone from your school administration that knew you, if they saw what you're doing now, none of them would be surprised.
Oh my gosh, they would hate me.
Got it.
I mean, there's a few, not actually. Oh yeah, no, they
oh yeah, no.
They'd say, of course, that's what she's doing. That makes total sense. Like, no, I get these emails from, alumni come, and I'd probably be banned from,
oh my God,
from going to any kind, and I wouldn't go back. I mean, there's no reason to go back, and, I got my education from them. It's been over 16 years. I'm good. But, no, I if they follow what I'm doing, I'm sure they're all like, dang it. She's got our school as the one she graduated from, but I'm cool with that.
Yeah. And it's I think it's important for parents or expecting parents to, you got to think this through, right? You've got to, and you have to put like your detective hat on. You have to weigh everything out, and make it make sense. Right. I mean, like to your point, when you just start asking the questions, it's like, again, like what I brought up too, I just think it's insane. Like, introduce one food at a time, but here, let's just, let's pop this in your kid, like just from that vantage point alone, it's like, that does not make sense. That does not make sense. And I heard a great interview a while ago, Dr. Lawrence Palevsky. He's a pediatrician in Long Island. Very well known, been at the forefront of pediatrics for, God, I think since the early 90s. Brilliant mind. And I remember hearing him say, because one common thing that parents will experience when they do this to their child, one of the common things you'll hear is that, oh, I took my child for their shots and I brought them home and they've been sleeping for days. They can't stop sleeping. And what does a doctor usually tell them? Oh, it's just, their body's fighting. Just let them get rest. some of them will tell them to give them Tylenol, which that's something else we could touch. That's the worst thing you can
It's the
do when it
worst thing
comes
you
to
could do.
glutathione, right?
Yeah. You said
Um,
Lawrence Polinsky? I'm just looking him up.
yeah, Dr. Lawrence Palevsky,
Oh, Polevsky.
Palevsky. But he's always on. He's been on Aaron Siri. He's been on the
Sure.
Del Bigtree. Like he's in all the
Yeah.
documentaries. I mean, he's a very prominent voice in pediatrics. But when I heard
Mm-hmm.
him talk about that symptom of babies sleeping, what he was explaining is what's really going on is you're seeing right before your very eyes the contaminants breaking the blood-brain barrier, and that's what's causing that wanting to sleep, that lethargy. Like parents, like that's you're watching that's like brain damage taking place right before your very eyes. I mean, if that's what happened. I mean, I guess it happens that quickly, right, to some people.
Yeah.
I went into
Encephalitis,
seizures.
like, yeah. And they
Yeah.
make it like, I went to the store, this is a different topic, but I was looking at pickles, and literally there's only one brand that I'll buy, but every single pickle brand that I saw in like your typical Vons, polysorbate 80.
Yeah.
There's polysorbate 80 in ibuprofen. There's polysorbate 80, like it's in everything. There's no reason, but they want to make you sick. So
funny you're bringing up
it's
pickles.
crazy.
I was on a wild chase literally this week. I was crazy. You can't find pickles. There's only that barrel one, and they don't even sell them anymore. They're like truly raw pickles, but you can't find them anywhere. I can't find them. I think the company doesn't exist anymore, but there's no truly raw, authentic pickles. They have sodium chloride. There's color dyes in some of them. I wouldn't even touch it.
High fructose corn syrup. I'm like, what in the heck?
I said to my mom the other day,
which is fermented, but
yeah. But like I said to my mom the other day, I'm like, how, like, it's easier to ferment stuff. Like, why don't we just do our own? So that's where I'm going with my pickles, because I can't find any. So
you
side note, Frank's gonna be making his own pickles.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Tylenol is they tell you like you can't do ibuprofen because it's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, so it will close a hole that we want to keep open for about 6 months. So ibuprofen, no, up until 6 months. So it's Tylenol. Tylenol is toxic to the liver. The liver is what's going to detoxify these vaccines. So now the only way that you can actually detoxify, you've now blocked that. And yeah, I mean, kids are crying, they're lethargic, they're fading in and out. I mean, there's swelling of the brain taking place in front of you. And I mean, it's just it's really, really sad. And they're, parents want to believe. Back in the day, you always trusted your doctor, right? I mean, there was this patient provider relationship that you knew you were going to get the best information. They were looking out for you. They weren't controlled by anything. There wasn't anything pushing them one way or another. And that's drastically changed. But like as a new mom, if I'm a new mom, I mean, if I didn't know what I know now, and I started questioning things, you're going to see so much gaslighting and pushback from pediatricians. I can't tell you how many patients I have that were fired from their pediatrics office because they refused the vaccine. And if the pediatricians make, upwards of $1 million plus a year just by vaccinating, and if they don't meet that percentage, their quota, they won't get that. So it's not like per child you vaccinate. You have to have a certain percentage of patients in your practice that meet that quota to get your bonus, and they're not going to let any patient skew that number. And they're going to make you. Well, California, it's really scary if you do it because they could do a lot of horrible things to you, including taking your baby away and say that you're unfit. I mean, it's just crazy, but you think you're doing the right thing because you trust your pediatrician to tell you the right thing. And so many people just blindly do it. And then they wonder, SIDS, there wouldn't be SIDS if people stopped vaccinating. There wouldn't be. I mean, autism, I think the vast majority of autism comes from vaccinations. I think there's probably, because I do know some pediatricians that do have autistic kids in their practice that weren't vaccinated. But you've got to then look at the maternal environment. Was mom heavy, rich with heavy metals? And what did she eat during, everything mom has in her body built up, it's going through the umbilical cord. So like maybe baby didn't get vaccinated, but what was the exposure to baby in utero?
Of course.
What's exposure to baby outside? If you want to go down a rabbit hole, like read the ingredients in baby formula. It's awful.
Oh my God.
Polysorbate 80, you got all kinds of seed oils, you got all kinds of chemicals, you got in baby formula.
Yep.
I mean, so maybe baby didn't get vaccinated, but baby didn't have, a shot at anything good because mom couldn't nurse or whatever the reason was, so it's just like there's so many factors that go into it, but man, it's a sick world.
And what I've learned also through my life, through my years of coaching, I've had my handful of Tourette clients, and it's weird because I'd say 99.9% all came down with a diagnosis at age like 7 or 8, like right in that pocket.
Interesting.
Right in that pocket, like boom, everyone. I mean, I was 8. And when I know, again, I don't have the data because I was only 8 years old, but when I've gone down the rabbit hole of like what was being mandated in 1986 for an 8-year-old, one of the two common ones that come up are the installment of the MMR, and then there's the Tdap, and then I think there was also, I've come across polio being said too at that time. But knowing what we know about, say, just even the MMR and the Tdap, I mean, those have a hit list on their own. I mean, from what we know now, right? So,
and MMR is 3 vaccines in one. So if you're doing you're getting 3 shots, but one of them comes with 3, and to keep those stable in that, they've got to put even more preservatives in there. So if you do individual vaccines versus triple in one, it's totally a different formula what you're injecting. Plus you got, I mean, you end up going 3 shots, which you shouldn't do any, but 3 is more like 8 or 9.
Yep. Yeah.
Tdap, diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus,
I mean, don't they have one right now that's 6 in 1? I think there's a 6 in 1 shot.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Like what could go wrong, right?
I will never put another needle in my arm. I will never put another needle in my child's arm. I will never, ever, ever recommend a shot in anybody. So I have not kept up with it. But I treat the vaccine injured every single day.
Yeah. And I think what's sort of like, I guess when it comes to neurological, right? Like what I'd love to know, is it the virus? Because again, I'm more schooled in Tourette's. A lot of kids with Tourette's too ending up, including myself as a kid, I had strep throat all the time, like 2-3 times a year, strep throat. And you hear that a lot with children with Tourette's during their childhood, a lot of strep throat. So is it, what I'm wondering, autism, Tourette's, like, again, Tourette's never gets in the spotlight. It's autism mostly when it comes to vaccine injury. A lot of people don't talk about Tourette's, but I even think MS as well should be spoken about when we're talking this, right? But is it, I'm just wondering, like, it's breaking the blood-brain barrier. So is it is it heavy metals? Is it the actual virus that's like contaminating portions of the brain and then kind of infecting it, causing this short circuit with the nervous system? What's your take on that? I don't know if at all any.
I really think it's a combination. I don't know if you can just pinpoint anything. And as the years have gone on, the world has gotten more polluted with things. I mean, you drive around and you look at these 5G towers and they're everywhere, and it's awful. Formaldehyde and glyphosate and all of these chemicals, the amount of genetically modified foods. And so I think it's a multi-hit on the body that just can't get, all you gotta do is walk outside and breathe the air, and you got all of the chemicals from the chemtrails coming down. So your body can't get a break. And so I'm actually surprised that more people aren't sick all the time. So I don't know if there's any one thing that you can blame it on, but Yeah. And then they put this like chronic fatigue syndrome. So chronic fatigue syndrome is kind of a category, kind of like, and no offense to anyone that has this, but it's kind of like this drop category, like fibromyalgia, where they're like, look, we really don't know. You've got symptoms, but there's nothing that we can actually measure. There's no, a you know, we can't see something. It's more of what you're saying. And so we're going to
Mhm.
just put you in this because your tests are all normal, so to speak, whatever normal is.
Yeah.
But so we're going to just group you in this. And so you see a lot of like chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. And you just have to wonder like how many of it's toxic loads of all kinds of things, but the vaccines are, they must be addressed. Now we've got someone in CDC that's going to be,
Oh my God.
God help us.
I'm this pick. Well, again, I don't think she. Like apparently, it's a Trump nomination, but I don't know if she's like hardcore. Is she like actually sitting now? Do we know?
Oh, I don't know. I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't.
I read about it a couple of days ago, and um, I
What
haven't
worries
caught
me
up
with a
with
pick
it.
like that, I mean, I know we've said it, but I feel like a pick like that is kind of like, okay, what are they preparing us for? Like if you
Oh,
start
well, we
trying
already
to
know.
connect the
Oh
dots, right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, it's every, 5-ish years they've got to hit
Yeah,
us with something, and you always go, okay, well there's an election coming up. There's always
yeah,
something. And so I always say like be prepared.
yeah,
Don't live in fear, but don't be caught off guard and think that you're going to
yeah,
be raptured before you have to
yeah,
live through tribulation. So,
yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's, and hopefully there's enough people out there who took the vaccine. Well, here, I don't know. I mean, they took it and they realized like, wow, that was like horrible. And so I'm never doing that again. But then again, I would say the vast majority of my patients that took the vaccine didn't take it because they thought it was good. They took it because they had to keep their job,
Do the job.
or
Yeah,
they needed to travel, or they
yeah.
were in the military, or they couldn't, be with a loved one having a baby, or they needed, like a lot of my cancer patients, the only way that they could get cancer treatment in these facilities is if they had the vaccine.
Yeah,
So they were denying medical care for the critically ill patient until they took the vaccine. So that's never going to change.
yeah,
So then someone has to decide, is my job worth dying for? Because that's ultimately what you have to ask
right.
yourself. Is traveling on this trip worth dying for? Is my treatment at this cancer facility worth dying for? Is this and it's really sad that you have to actually, is my military status and not being let go on dishonorable discharge worth dying for? And
Yeah.
if it's not, and I hope that they say it's not, then the masses will rise against it. But if we have again this fold and people that are weak and whatever, and I'm not saying, I'm not calling, whatever, you guys took it for whatever reason,
Mhm.
um, then we're just going to have a 2.0.
Yeah.
It's going to be
And
COVID 2.0.
you say take the shot or die. I think to me, dying is the easy option because a lot of people, they're not, there are a lot of people that are not dying, but they're suffering now with lifelong ailments and illnesses that are irreversible, right?
Sure.
So, I mean,
Sure.
dying is getting off easy in a sense, if you were to do that.
Yes, it is. I guess. I mean, it should never be that this should never have been mandated. This should
Yeah.
never. But it's leading up to the mark of the beast.
Hmm.
It's leading up to the one world order. Like if we look at
Yeah.
it biblically, it all makes sense. Like there's nothing that's at this point, nothing is surprising. It's like, oh yeah, there's that. Okay, let me look in the book of Revelation. I just finished Revelation again this morning because it's like my favorite book in the Bible. But
Hmm.
there it is again. Yeah, oh yeah, I see that. And so it really is, it's biblical, but we know they're gonna do something. And so yeah, I just, you cannot live in fear. You have to detox. And that's why it's critical. We've talked about this over and over and
Yeah.
over again. we have choices every second of every day on what to do, whether we're going to, engage in some sort of activity that's not beneficial for our bodies, whether we're going to eat a meal that is not going to be healthy, whether we're going to drink tap water, whether we're going to use a plastic cutting board, whether we're going to cook with utensils, Teflon pans, like whatever it is, we have choices all the time. And so you have to make sure that you're making the best choice and the best environment and the options that you have, because otherwise it's just this buildup of toxins. And so, God gave us free will. You make your choices and that's fine, but you have to, there's going to be repercussions depending on the choice that you make.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
And
yeah.
another thing I want to bring up that I would love for you to touch on too.
Mhm.
And here's where I think everybody should have like a red flag too, when they're not questioning authority when it comes to this topic. Okay, when you read headlines of any of these
Mhm.
measles outbreaks that are taking place, in different
Yeah.
parts of the country, when you read the fine print of any article, what are they saying? They're saying if you have not been vaccinated yet, get vaccinated. But it's like if you've been exposed to the measles virus, getting your vaccine within the day after that. I mean, I'll let you say it because it's better coming from your mouth than mine. How beneficial would getting that measles vaccine be if you were at Disneyland and there was someone there that had it and they're telling you should go get it, and the media is telling you go get your vaccine, they've got drive up lines and all that. What does that look like for an
It
individual
will
as
not
far as
stop. It will not.
effectiveness?
Yeah. It's not.
Thank
It's
you.
not.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of cases, reported cases of measles with people who are vaccinated. So again, it's not, there's, it doesn't stop it. I mean, we should have learned, if no one has learned that the COVID vaccine, and they actually changed the terminology of vaccine because it wasn't actually stopping the spread and stopping people from getting infected. It wasn't diminishing symptoms. It was actually killing people. But then they changed the terminology, and so they don't. It's just a money making scheme, and they have no respect for human life.
Yeah.
Like none. They don't care about us. We are worthless eaters. We are the bottom of the bottom. There's, you know, taking out one of us is just it's
No big deal.
beneficial for them.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Um, they really don't. And so it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop until Jesus comes back. And so you just have to be aware, and you have to pray and have discernment and ask for the true answer. And once you're ready for that answer, man, it's going to blow you away.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to understand that, because once you get that answer, you can't go back.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We see this. It's out there. I encourage anybody listening to this right now, if you even go to Google, I'm a little cloudy on the year, but I was living in Los Angeles. I want to say it was 2015, 16 or 17, something like that. Harvard Westlake Village is a school in the valley in Studio City, and there was a whooping cough outbreak. All 50 students that had the whooping cough, guess what they had also?
Vaccine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
because the vaccine lowers your immune system to be able to fight anything off.
yeah. So you guys can Google that, Harvard Westlake Village in Studio City, Los Angeles. Just type in whooping cough outbreak and read the article. And there's countless stories like that, but again, the media always spins it on the unvaxxed child, right? That's always the boogeyman.
Gaslighting
and then again, here's another thing that always pops in my head where I'm like, all right, these people are at like a cult meeting if they're not asking this. I mean, people ask this all the time, like on social media. If your shot works and you got it and you're protected, aren't I the one that should be scared of catching it? Like, why? Like, we saw it during COVID, right? I mean, get your shot. If you got your shot and you got your mask on, then why I should be worried, not you. You're Superman. Like, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Like,
that was a conversation I had with my stepmom. It's crazy.
Yeah, the whole it's like literally having somebody. I feel like having a conversation with people who are bought into the narrative like that. It's like them trying to tell me 2 + 2 is 5, and I'm like, but it's not. Like, and they're just trying to tell me that it is, and I'm like, but it's not. It's 4. Like, don't you see that? And
It's common sense. Yeah.
it's just to be able to put it again. I don't think people are that dumb. I think they're that gullible and they're so bought in, like I shakes face. I mean, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, because I do know intelligent people. Like, I mean, intelligent, right? Was IQ versus EQ, right? But intelligent people that are so bought in. I mean, they're not dumb, but they're gullible. But I guess they're dumb. Like I'm trying to be respectful here, Sarah. Stop looking at me like that.
Yeah. For me, it's like the more letters someone has behind their name. Right. Oh, I've got my blah, 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 blah. This is the more time that they've been in the system being indoctrinated. Yeah. And so you have all these people that say, to me, like if someone says I graduated from Stanford or Harvard or something that says Ivy League school, I'm kind of like, so be extra weary of you then, because that's like, who funds your school? So to me, it's common sense. And yeah, I mean, and I truly think, especially the COVID vaccine, because it's just been brought to the forefront, but it really has changed personalities in people. Oh yeah. It's changed their thought process. It's changed the way that they behave with others. They're not the same people. And it's changed their hormones. And that's something we can talk about too, which is, it really has their transhumanism. Like they truly are. Like once you get that shot in you, it's a patent vaccine. Well, it's a patent bioweapon. Yeah. You're now patent. Like your DNA is now altered. It is altering your DNA. It is integrating into your DNA, and it's turning the machinery in your DNA to make spike protein. You are no longer, and that now you actually could almost be, if you go down, like you keep following that path, like you're now owned. Like you're not even human anymore. You've got an injection in you, or multiple injections in you, that you're like this patent thing. It's transhumanism. Like they're trying to take away what God made. And they're doing a pretty good job. We've got a lot of got a lot of hormonal issues going on in society as well. And yeah, it's a problem.
I mean, it's toxic overload. I mean, I think when we get into the contaminants of, when you said before, going outside and take, you take a deep breath, you're pretty much guaranteed to be inhaling some aluminum and barium, right? So I mean, and then injecting in the food and fillings in the mouth. I mean, it's and then look at some of these I mean, what you were saying before, I haven't thought about that in my head too, of like, you walk through the newborn baby aisles, they have fluorinated water for newborn babies, right? I mean, there's so I mean, every which way you approach this, again, I think that's why, like, The Matrix is such a profound movie. It's like, like, was that scene with Neo's like bending backwards, dodging the bullets? I mean, like you're constantly dodging these bullets, and it starts with the awareness of it. And in saying all that, I think it's safe to like segue us into the next portion of this, because when you're bombarded with all these contaminants, these are neurotoxins, these are endocrine disruptors, hormone disruptors. There's an agenda from the higher ups with propaganda to push this narrative to get kids questioning their sexuality, who they are. I mean, a kid questioning their sexuality is like PG now, compared to like, I'm a cat. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what? What'd you just say? Like, I mean, we've gone to a whole nother level of crazy. Yeah. Like a whole nother level of crazy. So there is the propaganda portion. I remember my mom, she's retired now, but she worked, she was a secretary in the principal's office. And I remember her telling me, I don't know what year it was, but it was the year the singer Katy Perry came out, and she had that song, I Kissed a Girl, and I liked it. And I remember my mom telling me how that song, all the kids were singing it, and she started seeing a shift in the hallways, and they started like having issues where like girls were making out with girls. and they were having to bring them into the principal's office and speak with them, and come to find out that's what these kids were like revealing to the principal and to like administrative, like, we're just experimenting. And so there is a psychological brainwashing here, because that's part of the population control in a sense, right? Like, with procreation.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, there's that. And look, and I want to be clear when it comes to people who are gay, because I have known people through my life who are gay, and I can't say anything bad about them. They're good people, and there are people like the way I always tell people, like the way that like I was born and just attracted to women, there are people that are attracted to the same sex, and they that's just who they are, and I'm no one to judge that. And I want to be clear with that. Like I don't judge any. You love somebody, like you truly love somebody. In my eyes, God bless you. Like I have no issues with that. I truly don't. Where I have the issues is the pushing it down the throat of children, of it infiltrating movies and pop culture. It's one thing to express yourself, but this is going above and beyond a level of expressing. I mean, I remember even years ago, one of my clients in LA, a gay male in his 60s, been gay for like 40 years of his life with the same partner for like 30 plus years, and I remember talking to him, and he was like, Frank, he's like, excuse my language, but I don't fucking get this pronoun stuff. And like, this is like, why are they attaching this to like just LGBT, like, and he was like offended by it, and just an old school, like gay male, just believes in, has values. He's with the same partner. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are like, these are normal people. They just happen to be gay. Like, so there's that. And then there's the agenda to convince and confuse and get straight kids to experiment and start looking in the mirror and be like, and if you don't believe that, then look at where we've come. I mean, I remember even during COVID on TikTok, there's the famous, it's a male. Yeah, it's a male. It looks female. His name is Jeffree Star. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but he was getting raked over the coals because he's very feminine. He's gay. He's got a makeup line, millions of followers. And during COVID, he started speaking out like a conservative, like going off about pronouns and like, I'm a cat. They're like, what the fuck? He's like, you people have too much time on your hands. Like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't like, and he got like just trashed for just speaking common sense, right? From being able to look at this from a propaganda standpoint. There's a major goal here with this brainwashing of that. But then there's also what we're touching on now, the toxification of what people are going through, hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors, calcifying the pineal gland, messing with the brain, we're talking fluoride, things of that nature. So that it's the perfect storm for this masculizing the male. Like it's the perfect storm, right? I mean, I have another client. He's got a teenage daughter. Well, you have younger teen. You have teenagers. You do, right? I mean, what do you? You could speak on this better than I can.
Pretty soon, I'll have 3 teenagers.
Okay, so I should shut up, but I want to say this, and you could elaborate on that from what you're seeing. But his daughter's like 17. He was like, Frank, he's like, he's my age. He's like, if we were younger, we'd clean up. He's like, because the guys are such, like they don't even care about dating girls anymore. They're just literally, when there's birthday parties, like all the boys are on their phone, then they go in groups and like they mosh dance with each other. No interest in the girls. And these are like 17-year-olds. Like that's not. I mean, when I was 17, that was not that. I was like, that was not the norm of what I grew up around or how I was. So there's a shift taking place here. So speak to that, please, because you could speak to that better than I could just from that vantage point. What's your take on that?
Yeah.
This is Frank Tortorici with the Overstood Human Podcast.
And my name is Sarah Green.
Be sure to check out part 2 next week.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Always consult with your physician before starting any exercise program or doing anything contained in this podcast.